think the tightest race in the country. We are extremely happy to be where we are, and I believe we're winning this the old-fashioned way with door knocks and telephone calls. And if there's anybody watching this show in Colorado that hasn't voted, get out and vote. You got an hour and 15 minutes left, and we need every single vote.
Are you confident it's going to be decided tonight, or is this one of these races that may be recounted, may be litigated at some point?
I don't have any idea. Obviously, we'd prefer to win tonight, but we're just going to have to see how it goes. I've got my wife and my 3 little girls upstairs, and we'll hang out until it's done.
Let me ask you a simple question. Imagine you're a Democrat in Colorado and you're sitting at home and you haven't voted. What's the number one single isolated reason, not a bunch of stuff and a sundry list, one reason why you should get out of the house, don't have that second beer, go over there and vote before you have supper tonight?
I would say the number one reason is that the guy I'm running against wants to take us back to exactly the same policies that put us in the ditch to begin with a bunch of additional bells and whistles that are way outside the mainstream of where we are as Coloradans. And I want to work to take the country forward, working with Democrats, Republicans, unaffiliated voters. It doesn't matter to me. And that's really the distinction in this race. So get out and vote.
Who's your hero?
My hero, Abraham Lincoln.
Well, that's safe. Back to you, Keith. I can't. That's a.
It seems appropriate for the events of the last several months.
Hope he's not talking about Civil War. There you go.
Tell me about the last several months. I mean, it's a great point to make, and it's a great intriguing why Lincoln would be invoked over the last several months.
I actually think that, and I've seen the polling some of you guys have put up tonight, and I know this is going to be a close race. And I actually have not taken the lesson from this that our state is nearly as divided as the polls suggest, or as the other polls suggest. My sense, very, very strong sense, having had probably more town hall meetings than anyone in the Senate, red parts of the state and blue parts of the state, is that actually our values endure, our aspirations are shared. They just think politics is off topic. And with respect, they think the conversations they hear on a lot of the cable are off topic as well. They are struggling through the worst economy since the Great Depression. You saw that number from Colorado saying 70% of Coloradans believe that the economy is actually in a serious secular decline. And the point, what we have to do is give people hope that we're going to innovate again in the 21st century, and that our educational system is going to support our small businesses, entrepreneurs, and innovators to do that. That we're going to break our reliance on foreign oil, and we're going to educate our kids. That, I think, is what they're looking for, and that used to be called leadership.
Senator Michael Bennet of Colorado, thank you kindly for your time tonight.
Thanks for having me on the show.
At the top of the hour, the first results, something untoward happened at the end there, from some of the big Senate races we're watching in Pennsylvania, Florida, Illinois, and Connecticut. The biggest hour of closing time of the night. Our coverage continues after this.
I'm an engineer. My kids say I speak a different language, but I love math, and math and science develop new ideas. We've used hydrogen in our plants for decades. The old hydrogen units were very large. Recently, we've been able to reduce that. Then our scientists said, what if we could make it small enough to produce and use hydrogen right on board a car? As part of a hydrogen system, this could significantly reduce emissions and increase fuel economy by as much as 80%.
Receiving the Bronze Star, that was definitely one of my proudest moments. I graduated from West Point, then I did a tour of duty in Iraq. When I was transitioning from active duty, I went to a military officer hiring conference. It was kind of like speed dating. There were 12 companies that I was pre-matched with, but Walmart turned out to be the best for me. Sam Walton was in the military, and he understood the importance of developing your people. It's an honor to be in a position of leadership at Walmart. I'm Captain Tracy Lloyd, and I work at Walmart.
Who's searching for you? You can find out right now for free. Go to mylife.com, the internet's leading people search site. Just type in your name and see if someone is searching for you right now for free. Go to mylife.com. Who's searching for you?
What does it take to excel in today's business world? Our professors know because they've been there, and they work closely with business leaders to develop curriculum to meet the needs of top businesses, which means when our graduates walk in the room, they're not only prepared, they're prepared to lead. DeVry University's Keller Graduate School of Management. Learn how to grow the business of you at keller.edu.
Funny how nature just knows how to make things that are good for you. New V8 V Fusion Plus Tea. One combined serving of vegetables and fruit with the goodness of green tea and powerful antioxidants. Refreshingly good.
This is the AARP Medicare Supplement Insurance Plan card. Wherever you go, nationwide, your coverage travels with you.
And that's just one of the many reasons you need a card like this. With all Medicare supplement insurance plans, you can choose from a range of plans and keep your relationship with your own doctor that accepts Medicare. If you're turning 65 or older, or you've already enrolled in a Medicare supplement plan, call now for this free guide to understanding Medicare and information kit on AARP Medicare supplement plans, insured by United Healthcare Insurance Company. As with all Medicare supplement plans, these help cover some of your medical expenses not paid by Medicare alone. This could save you up to thousands of dollars.
Look, you want to do away with almost all claim forms? Like the sound of no referrals needed to see a specialist? You get all that too.
Call now to get your free information kit and guide to understanding Medicare.
Yep, this is one great card.
Call this toll-free number now for this free information kit and Medicare guide.
Let's go back to Las Vegas and Ed Schultz of MSNBC. Ed, we just had Senator Bennet on the air talking about his hero Lincoln and the last few months. He didn't get into some of the things that Ken Buck has proposed in Colorado, including harkening back to the great American school systems of the 1950s when half of all white students didn't graduate, and I think the total of African-American students was 1 in 5 who graduated. It's an extraordinary, it is a kind of a bellwether Senate race.
Well, it really is, and this was one of the hot topics in their most recent debate, Keith, was public education. And Michael Bennet, who comes from education, has never run for anything. That's part of his appeal. He's kind of a clean gene. He's not Washingtonized, and he's never won an election before, and here he is in this. He was appointed to the United States Senate. But in that debate, it was Bennet taking it to Buck on some radical comments that he had made about public education. There's one other facet to this, and this is the Andrew Romanoff crowd. After the primary, they have really come out and supported Michael Bennet, which was crucial if they were going to defeat Ken Buck.
And the symbolism of that still being, we presume, a tight race. We don't have exit polling on it.
Well, it's going to be a tight race, but I can tell you that they're very passionate out in Colorado. I did 3 town hall meetings out there in the last 16 months, and also Amendment 62 has been a big draw for the conservatives to come out and vote. So Bennett's got his work cut out, but I think he's going to be in good shape.
Ed Schultz, thank you. The 8 p.m. closing time coming up. Alabama, Connecticut, Delaware, Florida, Illinois, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Mississippi, Missouri, New Hampshire, New Jersey, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, and Tennessee next here on MSNBC.
For fastidious librarian Emily Skinner, each day was fueled by thorough preparation for events to come. Well, somewhere along the way, Emily went right on living. But you see, with the help of her Raymond James financial advisor, she had planned for every eventuality, which meant she continued to have the means to live on, even at the ripe old age of 187. Life well planned. See what a Raymond James advisor can do for you.
You know, I've been looking at the numbers, and I think our campus is spending too much money on printing. I'd like to put you in charge of cutting costs. Calm down. I know that it is not your job. What I'm saying... Excuse me? All right, fine. No, you don't have to do it, okay?
Notre Dame knows it's better for Xerox to control their printing costs, so they can focus on winning on and off the field.
Are you sure I can't... Okay, no, I get it.
With Xerox, you're ready for real business.
I love my grandma. I love you, Grandma. Grandma just makes me happy. To know Grandma's the bestest. The total package. That was cool. Way cool. Grandpa spoils me rotten.
To know you is to love.
Some people call us frickin' friends. We do finger painting. This is how Grandpa and I roll.
And I do.
Grandma's my best friend. My best friend ever. My best friend ever.
To know.
After this, we're gonna get ice cream. Can we go get some ice cream?
And I do. And I do. And I do.
The story's not over on election night. Morning Joe breaks down the critical races. A special Morning Joe tomorrow, 6 to 9 a.m. on MSNBC.
A few seconds before 8 o'clock Eastern Time, the polls closing at this hour in 15 more states. The results are going to come to you hot and heavy starting moments from now with the Florida Senate race, which NBC News can now project will go to the Republican and Tea Party candidate Marco Rubio. In a tight three-way race, there's your projected winner, Mr. Rubio, who was leading in most of the late polls. Much discussion in the last weeks of this race, whether or not the Democrat Kendrick Meek would drop out and perhaps endorse the independent Charlie Crist. That now looking with those percentages, again, those are early percentages at about a third in, that looking to be something of an academic issue as Mr. Crist and Mr. Meek long behind Mr. Rubio there. To New Hampshire, the Senate race there, and Kelly Ayotte, also Palin, Tea Party, defeating the Congressman Paul Hodes in our NBC projections. That's New Hampshire. Delaware in a very prominent, but perhaps not a very close race. We don't have the hard numbers on it yet. The Democrat Chris Coons vaulted into a major lead after the upset by the Tea Party candidate Ms. O'Donnell, has now projected as the NBC News winner in Delaware. In Maryland, no surprise, Senator Mikulski, the incumbent Democrat, to be returned, according to our NBC News projections. The same for Alabama and the Republican Richard Shelby, who will return as the graphic pops up there. He is our projected winner in Alabama. In Oklahoma, again, also no surprise, as the Republican Dr. Tom Coburn will return to the Oklahoma Senate seat that he has held previously. Pennsylvania, too close to call at this hour. Not too early, but too close between Representative Sestak and Mr. Toomey in what has been a hammer and tongs race all along for a year. Illinois, too close to call as well in the Senate race between Mr. Janulius and Mark Kirk. Missouri, a different consideration. Too early to call, meaning we simply have not enough information between Ms. Carnahan and Mr. Blunt. Connecticut is too early to call, but this caveat, we can tell you that the Democrat, the Attorney General of the state, Mr. Blumenthal, is leading in that race, but it is too early to call it over the businesswoman Linda McMahon. West Virginia, too early to call. No characterization of that one other than Mr. Manchin is ahead, and as you see, with less than 2% in, he's ahead statistically as well. North Carolina, too early to call between the incumbent Senator Burr and Ms. Marshall. And in Georgia, that one is also still too early to call, although the incumbent Senator Isaacson has a big lead with 3% or so in. So the pickups remain that one in Indiana, where the Rachel Maddow Memorial Evan Bayh seat is going to Mr. Coates of Indiana, and that makes the Senate look at this hour a 41-31 with 2 independents, and of course 37 in total up for grabs tonight. Again, a lot of information. One more here. Florida's governor's race, too close to call between the Democrat Alex Sink and Rick Scott, the Republican who sank so much money into that race, who is leading at this point with 30% of the vote in. Too early to call in Massachusetts with the governor, the incumbent Deval Patrick, the close friend of the president, and Charlie Baker, the Republican. Too early to call in Massachusetts. More information even than I thought we were going to present to you. All right.
Yeah, and there's a pattern there, and it's going on so long this year that we shouldn't lose sight of it. The death of the moderate wing of the Republican Party, especially in the East Coast of the United States. Charlie Crist was a pretty successful governor down there. He did a great job in terms of the oil spill. Everyone said he was the one politician down there who really knew how to handle it. He went immediately for the offshore ban, immediately took charge of the situation in terms of protecting his shorelines. Blown away by the right wing, by Rubio. He couldn't even run in his own party eventually. Mike Castle getting knocked out by the woman who said she's not a witch. I mean, this is a joke. It's a joke for the Republican Party to lose people like Mike Castle. Arlen Specter, maybe he was past his time, his sell-by date, but the fact is